I want to document this. This is a 6-lug wheel setup for it's for a Jimny 1300. This is actually a Japanese model, Asian model, made for Japan, Jimny 1300. This is a 1985. I looked on the Suzuki forums all over the place. I found one. Well, let me say this: nobody ever heard of this. It's 1 year only for the Japanese market. This was 1985. Actually, 60 year of the Emperor Hirohito, that they would call it a 60 in Japan. And there was a lot of crossover things going on when they went from the SJ413, which is a 1 liter 4-speed, to the SJ413, which is a 1.3 liter 5-speed. A lot of things are the same as the Samurai, but this is one thing that's way unique. The 6-lug wheels have repercussions because, first off, well, the wheels are different. The brake what do you call it, drums in the back, there's 6 lugs going through them, and it's not a matter of the studs are actually in the brake drums. The brakes drum is bolted to the axle, and the brake drum itself is like beefed up in the center, and there's 4 bolts that bolt to the axle, and then there's 6 bolts that are drilled and tapped with backing plate for the wheel. So this is a 6-stud wheel setup for the Suzuki, and so that's a one year only, because I looked up 1987 it's Jimny 1300, or sometimes they call them JA51 or a Sierra. But this is only 1 year, because even the Japanese only market for 1987 had five studs on each wheel, 5 lug nuts on each wheel, or 5 studs coming out of the brake drum or the axle hub. So here you can see, here's the actual hub. It's this 1 year only, and it's only for Japanese market. It's not for the Australian market. It's not for the UK market or the Indian market. I think in India they also drive on the right-hand side. I'm a right-hand drive person here, and so right-hand drive parts are easy to come by. You just order them from India, or order them from the UK, or you order them from Australia for a Sierra or a Jimny, and you got it. And one other thing I want to mention here, because I'm going to probably put this on a separate video. You see, this is the actual knuckle where the kingpin bearings go into, and the kingpins get bolted into, and this gets bolted to the axle housing. You see that grease fitting? I put that in there back in 1996, and it fills up that whole area in there where the burr fill joint is, which is this right here off the axle, and also where the kingpin bearings are. And I didn't have any rust in there, no water perpetration, no water, whatever, got infiltrated the area. What happened was the kingpin bearings, or the kingpins themselves, they got indexed. So in other words, when you're driving, you could tell when you're, it's on a separate video, I'll be doing this, because I was working on this one of the nights here a couple nights ago, and I ran into this snafu when I ordered some rotors, and I said, whoa, these are drilled for 5 studs, and I got 6. And I didn't really think that could be a problem, and I says, so I'm looking for the Japanese market parts, and I was looking and looking and looking. See, these are mine right here. This is a 6-stud. See them right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my rotor. This might be an original rotor too, for all I know. And this is the replacement, they said, for the 1985 Jimny 1300, Sierra 1300. SJ413. Well, it's got 5 studs. See them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those 2 little holes there are for, like, if you put a screw in there, that can help you to pull out the disc brake rotor if it's stuck to the hub from some rust or something. But usually you put some grease on the background there, not on the rotor itself, but where it's attached to the hub, and to keep it from sticking. So what I'm going to have to do with these, I'm going to have to drill them out. Like, this one hole here is the correct distance and everything, but I'd have to drill out 4 or 5 more holes and fill in 4. And you can see that in the case of 3 of the holes, they're not close to where the other hole is. And here they're, you know, this, I could probably just drill them out. This would probably work, and you probably never have a problem, notice it. But I'll have to re-weld, put a plate in there, a circular plate, weld it in, and grind it down to use these for disc brakes. So I don't want to just putting this together and using it. Probably just do to one side for now, because it's kind of like a lot of work, a lot more work than I thought. And I'm not even sure about the brakes. I know I replaced the pads one time, and in the front, and I thought I got SJ413 pads, but they weren't right. So I got some other pads that look like the same, and actually the part number from Asian is not. I have it. I took it off the back of the brake pad. It's not even available. But I think I got the right ones this time. Hopefully I ordered them. But the brake pads I got in there still got quite a bit of meat on them still. And I guess these rotors are okay for a while too. But I'm gonna have to do a more careful measurement than this. But what I did was I just put that rotor. This is probably a good and accurate measurement anyway. If I put this rotor over this and I scribe around there and get the exact center. And of course I have what's underneath this thing. It's on a drill press. It's a mini mill. It's under that thing. I could drill it out real accurately. And I got a welder. And I might have to just, I'm not sure, you know, if I could just tap this out and put like a piece of a bolt in there and grind it down or something. That might be another way of doing it too. And just put a little bit of a weld on it. I'm not sure, but yeah, it can be done. And I guess, you know, even if I had to get rear brake drums, there is places from Japan, but this is a 1 year only, Japanese only type differentiation between the actual, all the other Samurais and Suzuki Jimnys and all that. And I'm thinking, this is not, I wish they made them all like this. Because I guess they didn't do that because it was cheaper and you only need five stud wheels. But the 6 stud wheels are, you can see, like, let me get down here. All right. You see that? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. I mean, they're right across from each other. You could tell. And that makes 6, right? Just like here. But everything else is the same. You know, I mean, most of the parts are the same. You see? 6 studs. So, I didn't expect to run into this. I was like, what the hell? What the hell? So, and this other little circle there is, I don't know what the hell that's for. I think if you're, maybe if the wheel is stuck to the hub or something, you can pull it out easier. I don't know what the hell, I forgot what the hell that thing's, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that thing, but anyway, working on this thing, and it's amazing. It's amazing, but you know, doing that, and these calibers too, I think they're different too. But I did get one of them, the calibers replaced one time, because I got it from Italy. I don't think they're Samurai calibers, and I think, I don't know. It's something. I'm going to keep this thing though. I'm going to keep this, but so this is just going to be an archive video for 6-lug Suzuki Jimny 1300 Sierra. It's actually a Jimny 1300. Like I said, it's an 85 or 60. They call it 60 was the year of Emperor Hirohito in 1985. You know, the common era, Jesus Christ era, calendar year. But the thing is that, you know, I'd almost guarantee you, you know, as cars become more auto driving and all the more computers in them and stuff, and people can't work on them anymore, renegades and rebels like me are going to be doing things like this, and they probably won't even let, YouTube probably won't even allow videos, if they're still around, that is, or whoever it is, videos of how to repair the older cars that are not controlled by the grid system, because you have freedom of movement. So, yeah, there she is. So it's the rotors, the hubs, the actual wheels themselves, and the rear brake drums. So if I had to, if I had to change this over, I'd have to get all Suzuki Samurai stuff, or all four. I'd have to get 5 brand new wheels, because if you had the spare tire, it'd have to have 5 stud, or they have to be re-welded and re-drilled or something. I'd have to get new brake drums. I'd have to get, I'd have to already have the rotors, and I have to get new hubs, and then also install bearings in the hubs and stuff. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna try to do the welding on this, but it's not critical right now. But I looked on all these forums, and nobody ever heard of a 6-lug setup, 6 wheel stud setup on a Samurai. Nobody ever heard of it. Like I said, if it's a 1985 and it's a Sierra, or it's a SJ413, same year, and or it's a Jimny 1300, same year, 1985, and it was exported to Australia, and it's a right-hand drive still, and it was exported to UK or India, it's not gonna have the 6 lugs. It's only for the Japanese market. And I know by 1987 they went to 5 the 5 studs like this, the 5 lugs. And the reason I know this is because I was looking up on the Japanese vehicle import market, and I finally found a picture of a 1985 Jimny 1300, and it had 6 lugs on it. Then when I looked up in 1987, Japanese only, it had 6 lugs. Now, if you get the Suzuki K cars, those are the ones with the 550cc motors or 549cc motors. If anything 550cc's or below, you can get the 2-year Japanese compulsory inspection instead of the 1-year. And it's cheaper to register, cheaper to insure. Actually, if I was in Japan, if I had one of these things like that, I would have the 550cc, because you don't really go that fast and it's good enough to work. But they all have 5 studs also. They don't have, it's only that 1 year for the 1300cc version for the 1985 for the Japanese only market. A Japanese only market. It's not even the K cars of this for the 1985 for the Japanese only market. They had 5 studs only. There's a few other things on this thing that are different too. I'll just go over them. It has the center emergency brake on the back of the transfer case. The emergency brakes are not on the wheels. It actually hits on a transfer case, so it can actually lock up all 4 wheels. That's not too hard to find that thing, because a lot of people like that conversion. You can find that on the SJ410s. The differential gears on this thing, they're a 390 gear. It's the SJ410, the 1984 version, had 410 gears, and it was a different pumpkin. In other words, the differential, the whole thing, the pumpkin would not fit in a Samurai housing. This one, the pumpkin and all the gears are the same, except the ratio is a 390. The Samurai, or the Jimny afterwards for 1986 on, is a 373 gear ratio for the front and rear differential. And you can't find a 390 anywhere that I know of. I never saw that anywhere. So if I ever needed a ring and pinion for the rear, I'd have to do both front and back and put like 410s in there or something from the aftermarket. The other thing is the axle length on this is a 1 year only. Even though it's got the exact same setup as the Samurai, the axle housing and the axle is, the overall width is 3.5 inches more narrow than a Samurai. Well, I just put that plate in the front there. So I had an SCV plate up there for Sons of Confederate Veterans. I put that one instead. Put that one up there. Don't tread on me. So it's more narrow than a Samurai. So this axle housing and the axles are 1 year only. There's probably a couple other things I'll find out someday, but most of it's the same thing as the Samurai. Like if I got two different, pumpkins, differential pumpkins, one for the front and one for the rear, and they had the same gear ratio and stuff, like from a Samurai, I could just pop them in there and they could work. They could work. But I have to do both, because this is a 390 ratio, and I don't think anybody sells a 390 gear set. I couldn't never find them anywhere. So I'll have to do some welding on this thing, and I'll put this together today. But I want to document this because that's, well, one good thing about YouTube, it's like if I put enough words in there, people find this, and there's still some interest in these Samurais and Jimnys and Sierras and stuff. They should have never stopped importing these. I know, I think in the second year that these things were imported into the United States, they, I think they doubled, or they totally trounced Jeep sales. And the only reason this is so good, this is because it's this almost the same dimensions as the original Willys. And it's got a small engine in it, and it's a lot safer than original Willys or, an M151, military Jeep they were using back in the early 80s. Because it's got a sway bar, it's got 5 speeds in it, and it's not bad. If they kept importing these things, and say, because there's a version that's Japanese only, that's it's got the long wheelbase, and say they went to the long wheelbase, and there's a place up in Canada that sells an aluminum body, because the body on these things are like, it's not strong sheet metal like a regular American-made Jeep has much thicker metal, but the lighter metal on this is what makes it lightweight and work too. The more weight you put on it, the less off-road capable it usually is. But say you had the long wheelbase sold in the United States only, and you had an aluminum body, then the body could be made stronger and it'd still be light and it would never rust. So, because I've had this thing for freaking 33 years, it's 35 years old. I bought it 2 years old, and it reminds me of like a Ford Model A or something like that. You can just keep fixing the damn thing, I don't give a shit. People, right now it's kind of like hey, look at that. But I've been using it. Hell, I use it every day. It just, the last couple of days I haven't used it, but I use it basically every freaking day. So, but this one is a one of a kind. Oh, the other thing is, yeah, side curtains. See that? Half doors with side curtains. See that? That's that factory half doors, extremely rare. See that? Rare as dodo eggs. So, anyway, but if I actually freaking got loads of money, I'd probably get another one of these with a long wheelbase, and I'd still keep this one with an aluminum body on it, and even just with the 1.3, to hell with it. So it's fine. It's fine. It's a damn good. These are damn good cars, man. I mean, to me, I wish it was made in the United States. But Americans are freaking so full of freaking corporate yo-yos and things like that. They all talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. Man, this is the kind of shit people want. I mean, if you get this kind of car, to me, this is the poor man's car. It's like, remember like the Volkswagen came out, the people's car and something like that. Ford Model T was one. Something like this. Everybody wants a four-wheel drive. If they just had the longer wheelbase and maybe an improved suspension, they could do the coily suspension, but I prefer to keep the leaf springs and the solid axles. The longer wheelbase with better shocks and stuff like that, and better maybe stabilizer bar. That's fine. And you don't need any of these electronic controls with the freaking four-wheel drive. That's bullshit. I mean, I don't have hill descent, snow mode, sand mode, mud mode, I don't know, whatever else modes they got with these stupid things. I got like a lever that's attached to the transfer case, and you get out there and you manually lock the hubs, and you push the lever into four-wheel drive, and that's what works. There's no computer. Screw these computers, man. That's why I'm not buying any new cars, man. I hate them. I hate them. So, so this is the kind of, I wish they, if they have, and the thing is they don't, and put a diesel in it. A diesel that you can run peanut oil on. They don't do that. You know why? Because once you bought this with aluminum body, and you put the chassis saver on a frame and all that kind of stuff right from the factory, the thing would actually last decades. Because you can just take the engine out, and because this thing's easy to freaking work on. It's got loads of room. The hood opens up all the way to the back there like that. But you know what? They don't want to do that. It's planned obsolescence. And you know what? The people that work in these car companies, that make, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars as engineers, they wouldn't be able to. I mean, if you just keep the damn things, it's one way and it's good, it's a good setup, you don't have to keep redesigning it all the time. Just maybe do a tiny little improvement here and there, like the Volkswagen concept. This thing, I know the Jimnys, I think they were making them in 2019 overseas, or maybe even 2020. I'm not sure, but that particular one that's brand new, I probably wouldn't mind having that one, because it's still pretty simple, even though it's got some electronic shit in it. But these older ones are better. And the thing is, they're rusted out. That's the problem. So, you know, somebody could freaking start remaking these damn things. Like Toyota, heard, bought up part of Suzuki. This would be the shit. This would be the deal. This would be the people's car, man. Big time. You know? And if women want to drive it, they could paint it pink. You know, whatever. Fine.